Hi everyone, Steve from the Audiophiles. Welcome. Another fun episode, Audiophile Roundtable, movement of JAH FOMO, because of this guy here, Analogue Productions, Exodus, the big announcement through Analogue Productions and their latest UHQR coming out. Let's get to it right away. But before, if you haven't already, guys, it helps me out a ton. Hit that subscription button. I really appreciate it. And if you're in Vancouver or if you want to go to our website, hificenter.com, all your high-end gear, anything that you need, obviously speakers or record players, amps, anything. Got some great stuff here, 433 Carroll, downtown Vancouver. Now let's get to it. Mobile Fidelity Audio Productions Audiophile Roundtable. We'll see you on the other side of the Audiophiles. Hi everyone, Steve from Mobile Fidelity Analogue Productions Roundtable. This is a fun one today. I've named it Movement of JAH FOMO because I got my 1984 original Exodus because of Analogue Productions' big news earlier this week. Their latest UHQR, Bob Marley Exodus, 3,500 printed, 3,000 from AP, 500 goes to Tough Gong, the Marley website. And there's been a little bit of FOMO drama, JAH FOMO. Let's start. Arnaldo, you're new to the roundtable. Welcome. And what did you think of all of the big FOMO news? And first of all, were you able to grab a copy off the website after all was said and done?
Yes, after I almost had a heart attack with heart palpitations. It's a stressful experience, and it shouldn't be like that, I think, personally. Buying a record shouldn't be so stressful, especially when you get, I think we've all experienced the difficulties that the Acoustic Sounds website has experienced when there's too much traffic going to the site, where at one point you're just getting that error message, and when you try to check out, it's kind of difficult, and it's frustrating because you don't know if your order went through. You refresh and it makes it even worse, I think. So yes, I managed after 45 minutes of trying to snag a copy. I'm happy about that.
And so you had texted me and you're like, Steve, did you grab a copy? And what did I respond back after you texted me?
I think you said you were at work.
I was at work. I couldn't get one. So you know what I did? I didn't get. I've done videos on FOMO before, so I didn't let FOMO get to me. JAH FOMO, movement of JAH FOMO. So I basically ignored it, and then I was had a work meeting later on that day, like that night at 7 p.m. and I was on Zoom, so had work meetings. So I basically clicked my video off and I went on my phone and said, "Oh, the website's working," and I grabbed a copy. And I think I even texted you after later on and said I got one. So and that was around. Yeah, it was around 7:53. So I think the moral to the story with this is, sometimes, FOMO is there, but you got to be patient. Tim, what did you think of all of this going on with the AP website and the Marley Exodus announcement? Are you a big fan?
I did not partake in Marley UHQR. But yeah, I just kind of watched it from afar and reading the Hoffman forums and Rachel's stream. The website obviously needs to be upgraded. Maybe that's on Chad's agenda. I don't know, but I read somewhere someone had deciphered that he's working with 2003 technology on his gateway, and his servers are overcapacitated, obviously. So I don't know, maybe he needs to talk to Mike Esposito.
There you go. Norman, what did you think?
Well, I did get one eventually. It reminded me when I was in a bar in the late 70s where they had those tables and I was playing Mrs. Pong. You know Mrs. Pong?
I know.
Okay. Here's the deal. I tried for about an hour. Let me go back. I love Bob Marley and the Wailers, and I love Rastaman, the first UHQ. I think it sounds amazing. Yeah. People know the things I don't like. I'm not going to get into that. But record, the sound, the music, I love it.
Like the packaging?
I like the record. I like the record cover, the album cover, the Stoughton cover. I love it. I'll leave it at that because people know me by now. The irony is, of all my original US and a couple UK Bob Marley records, the two I'm missing are Rastaman and Exodus.
There you go.
So this is perfect. So I'm getting it. I tried for an hour and then I gave up, and he kept freezing, service unavailable. And then about 20 minutes after I left, I got a text from Chase Bank, my bank, that I spent $154 at Acoustic Sounds. Like after I hung up, put it away. So I got frozen. If I didn't get those Chase alerts, I think if I spend over $150 away at set, I get a Chase Bank alert. So I got it. Then about an hour later. So I ended up getting it.
So
Are we going to talk about the interesting thing? Is I'm glad all the power to him selling out. Now I know people are saying, why didn't they press more? He negotiated this before things were what they were. Plus the Marley estate is coming up, which we can probably slip into now. The Tough Gong is putting out the entire catalog. They just announced it. In fact, I got.
So what's the price on? Is it the whole catalog for like a box set catalog? What would the price be?
You can buy it individually. Okay. The Acoustic Sounds actually has an Instagram post showing it, and it talks about it. You go to the Tough Gong site. Site. Oh, that's not.
Is it colored? Is it colored? Oh, I would say that's stone.
It's not colored or is it just black? It's not colored vinyl.
Okay.
You can get them all for a price of $434. Now, Catch a Fire is the original UK cover. It's not the matchbook special design cover. One is a 2-record set, so you can get them all. They're pressed at the new pressing plant that opened up 2 years ago in Jamaica. We find out here they're mastered by Dave Cooley at Elysian Masters in Los Angeles. But
no Providence on there anywhere.
Nowhere do we know if they're all analog. Now, I'm sure the reason Chad couldn't get a quantity bump up is because it is, Tough Gong doesn't want him competing with their releases. That's just a guess. I don't have any inside information. And the ones that are selling individually on Tough Gong are $35. So that's like Tone Poet price. So you think they should be all analog, but we don't know. And you think if it was all analog, someone like Chad would say, hey, you guys, let's stick that in the ad or in the provenance. But
I think if they were all analog, it would say it right on that website that you're on, and they as well.
And if they're DSD or whatever, they still may sound fantastic. I'm not a all analog purist.
Okay, so here's the question. Here's the question I have. We know, I'm not even going to review the Exodus when it comes out, do a shootout. There's no point any longer because we know Clarity vinyl. We all know the compounds. It's pin drop quiet. It's mastered from the master tape. The odds of it not sounding amazing are pretty much, like us not shooting down that weather balloon, right? It's going to sound amazing. So, pretty much I see no point. We know it's going to be a 10 for 10. Because of the Clarity vinyl, but I'm putting this out there. So let's say it wasn't Clarity vinyl, but it was cut from the master tapes by Ryan Smith, but on just normal RTI black vinyl, just a normal packaging. Would it be as much excitement for people? Because it'd sound damn good either way. What do you think, Tim?
If you have a limited release of, let's say, 3,000 copies, it's an audiophile. Sure, I think there would be excitement, and people would be more excited to pay $75 than $125. It might have sold out faster.
Arnaldo,
and whatever, 16 hours or whatever it was.
Well, up until now, if I'm not mistaken, all of the Marley reissues were all from digital source. So this would be, along with Rastaman, were the only two that we know of that were sourced from analog tape. So if it had been, I think, just a plain Acoustic Sounds reissue, Analog Productions reissue at $60, it probably would have sold out, I think, if it was only limited to 3,500.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter, it's Clarity.
Yeah. To me, I don't even I would rather not have Clarity on anything, on MOFI, on SRX. SRX, I have those Music Matter.
Well, we were talking about that. The Blue Notes, the RTIs, man. That's, that sounds good. Those sound good to me.
Chad, it's funny. I love almost everything Chad, puts out. I love the Prestige series, $40. I love those. Now they don't command, I'm sure, the licensing as a Marley estate or a Steely Dan. The Doors, even though I'm not a huge 45 fan, The Doors, double 45, $60 or 65. The Leonard Skinner. I can't believe those are so much cheaper. Maybe they are licensing. I don't know. That is the sweet spot. This bumping it up for adding the clarity and the excess packaging to make it another $50 plus.
But that's part of the FOMO. The website crashing has been part of JAH FOMO. So I mean, that all added to the excitement of this. It's almost like it all worked out perfectly.
That's a whole conversation. I think that's an embarrassment. The website they have. I mean, you know what it is. Every time I was doing that, I had to punch in my 3 codes and my credit card number. I had to do everything again, even though it saves some of your stuff. It doesn't say but have you ever used Shopify or Apple Pay?
Yeah.
Boom.
Right away.
Yeah. You got a code,
Yeah.
So much better.
Going back to what Mazzy was saying about, the sweet spot. From Chad's latest video, when he was apologizing for the crashing of the website and announcing it, he hinted that there's a lot more UHQRs coming. So apart from the Steely Dan, I think that's going to be his lane for 2023, 2024.
Well,
and especially when he keeps on hinting at this big announcement that he's going to make, I have a feeling there are going to be more UHQRs.
Remember last month before Ticketmaster crashed, and it like big brouhaha because of Taylor Swift. Yesterday they did Beyonce, and they staggered it. They improved. Now I'm not a big defender of Ticketmaster, but they made the adjustments necessary that apparently it went smoothly, and they staggered things, and some people were able to pre-sign up. So I think Chad needs to really get this together before that.
Well,
and
remember
it is expensive.
Craft Recordings, when they were doing their one step last year, I mean, you'd get a special code, you'd sign up, and then they would send you an email code to basically go on an hour before it goes live. I mean, there's something Chad could do something.
Well, remember
like
they
that
have a big parent company too, so
right. But that's a good idea. I actually like that idea.
I'm going to be right back.
Yeah, no worries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't know, because I'm not a tech guy. I don't know if it has to do with the circle, or maybe they could implement something like, how you get in line for Ticketmaster when you're purchasing. Maybe there is a virtual queue, and then it finally leads you in to purchase the item, so that we don't encounter problems like you said, Mazzy. I had 2, where every time you hit checkout, certain items disappear. Then you hit checkout and something's wrong, and you have to type in, either check the box again, I agree to the terms and conditions, or type in your 3-digit code again. So it's not as intuitive and user-friendly and a seamless type of checkout, in my opinion, where if it hits a snag and you have to redo it. There were times when I was like, well, what did I forget to punch in this time? So I'm scrolling back up to see if I forgot or didn't uncheck
checking all the right boxes each
I
time.
find it's definitely not mobile friendly. It's more it's an actual website with not the mobile. It's not coded.
But even that, you have to every time it circles back, you have to check: is your address the same as your billing address? Right, do you the agreement? Do you agree to buy their standards? All that stuff. It is. It's like sometimes when you buy an old, screwed up, moldy house. You can do certain renovations, but sometimes it's better to tear it down and start from scratch. I think the infrastructure is too old. They have to do a brand new website infrastructure, which are a lot cheaper now. When I built my first website for my business, it cost me $12,000. And every time I wanted to change anything, I had to pay the web guy $500 to change stuff. And now I have these plug and play things that I pay $18 a month. It cost me $1,000 once. And I have a great website that is plug and play, and it's, modded after other things. And so, small businesses, mid-sized businesses, large businesses, that's what they use.
Well,
and I think, anyway, and I think people are going to be weary, if we have another big announcement like Arnaldo thinks, another big UHQR limited to 4,000, 5,000, people will be leery. They don't want to basically waste their time. And I've had some viewers who've texted me and who are very upset with basically they really wanted this record, and it's they took a lot of their day and were stressed out over it, like Arnaldo said at the top as well. And I understand from their perspective. You want it to run smoothly, and it should run smoothly. In 2023, we've had 2 years of COVID to really understand the different website platforms, and you would think this would have basically been solved as well. And sorry, Tim, you were going to say something.
No, I just I had to leave and I had to feed my dogs. It's like late afternoon. They're getting a little angry, but
Or was that his wife he was feeding? What was it? No.
no, no. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see if Chad makes an investment, and
Yeah.
Well, it was funny because it was a few days ago on Rachel's stream, I actually brought that up because Michael 45 has apparently a direct line to Chad. I said in one of the chats, I said, "Can you please tell Chad to invest in a better website?" And the answer basically is they're looking into it. But when developer asked him how many items, he was kind of, put off by 85,000 items that had to be listed on a website, which made the process a lot more difficult. I don't know if Acoustic Sounds has.
And he's looking at the wrong kind of. I mean, Michael 45 knows about this. His company does that, so I don't know in terms of the e-commerce stuff. I mean, we don't. There's a lot we don't know,
Right,
and
exactly,
I hate to do it, but you're right. Something needs to be done, and not an adjustment. And this didn't just happen the first time. We've been talking about his outdated website for a long time.
Well, and that's the thing. And I mean, on Facebook group, I mean, there's the Analogue Productions fan club. I mean, every second comment's all about, a lot of the people that, tried to get their copy and didn't, and they're worried now that they had an order and now it's not being fulfilled. So there's that stress as well. And so there's a lot going on with people right now that are really upset with this. So hopefully they can rectify this and reconcile it for the people that hopefully did order and it's not showing filled, or I think it's now showing back ordered, which is fine because this was a pre-order. So it's normal.
Well, that whole thing with if you look on the Hoffman forums,
all the letters,
the B, the O, the R, the K,
what the hell is it?
Well, the confirmation email you need?
No, like there's like if you go to your it'll say B as I don't even know how it goes down, but mine says B right now because I was reading some comments on the Analogue Productions Facebook group this morning. I'm like, oh crap, maybe mine got knocked off as well. But mine's
that's going to be on your permanent record too. That B. So
yeah, that's fine.
Be careful.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this all goes down. I know some people are now upset because they didn't, they ordered and thought they got it, and now they were saying that they don't have it. So I don't know. Again, only 3,000 at the AP, 500 at Tough Gong. And Tough Gong, there was 4 per person they could buy on that site.
They did
how does that?
That's
that's crazy to me. So like
they're all on eBay now.
So what? And the eBay for what, $790 and up, United States dollar? That's crazy. So I mean, that's probably another reason too. If you're just looking at an opportunity cost, it's like, okay, I could have bought this for $125. It's now artificially worth $790. I mean, that's a lot of money for anyone really. If you want to just be one of those flippers, if there's a buyer out there, again, it's what a person's willing to buy it for. I mean, what it's listed for, we all know is different than what it's going to sell for. And I don't know if any of them sold for $790 yet. I think that's wishful thinking. I think on the MOFI buy and sell today, there was a Rastaman sealed $325 that was being listed for. So I think Exodus, I bet you'll see $450. I think that's probably reasonable.
And for sure that if Chad had the possibility to do 20,000 copies of it, I'm sure he would have done that. I mean,
yeah, who knows how you would probably know more about that, obviously, you being in that side of the business about the licensing and stuff, but I would assume the estate or any artist would want all the money up front. So if you're going to have 10,000 albums, they want their cut right away. It's not going to be, we'll wait a year for the
as
sales.
I said, they're putting out their catalog. They don't want another 20,000 copies of another version, even though it's something 5 times the cost or 4 times whatever it is. They want to have this announcement. I mean, I got the Instagram. I saw the Instagram for the announcement on Acoustic Sounds ad. It was an ad on Instagram from Acoustic Sounds for the Tough Gone series.
So, I mean, we know it's going to sound great. I mean, like I said, I don't care to watch any of the shootouts because we know we know what the outcome will be of these shootouts, right? I mean, based on all the other UHQRs and APs ever released, it's going to be incredible. From
but the UK versions of those, if you can get a clean UK, even the American ones for those, but the UK sound
the original good. Americans were actually cut at Sterling Sound, ironically enough. So there you go. It's come full circle.
Yeah, I have the metal box of everything.
What do you think?
The metal box that came out?
Yeah.
Like 5-6 years ago or more.
How'd they sound?
They sound good. Yeah. But I particularly wanted this because Exodus is my favorite album of Bob Marley, so I would have been disappointed if I didn't get it.
Well, I mean,
Right.
the
It was more like
X,
when I say heart attack or palpitations, it's more because of the frustration of not being able to get the order done than anything. I mean,
it's definitely, we're definitely suffering from first world FOMO problems today, aren't we? Yeah. I mean, it's just going back to the set list, right? I mean, you've got, we all know, I grew up listening to the greatest hits like most people did. I mean, that's, where I listen to a lot of my Marley, but, they got Jammin', Waiting in Vain, Three Little Birds, One Love, Exodus. I mean, that's a big part of the greatest hits package is this album. This is pretty much the greatest
Like there's
hits right here.
5 songs from the greatest hits on
Yeah,
that
so
album.
there is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 songs from the greatest hits on this album. And that's half the album is on the greatest hits.
Yeah.
And I like Natural Mystic. I love how that song actually opens up really quiet and sort of leads in and gets louder and louder. Norman, I think that to me, that's
like
my
that
favorite
people are
track.
getting. Yeah, these are. I mean, there's a lot of great deep cuts, and I mean, the catalog. There's so much good stuff, and everyone only knows Legend because it's the biggest selling reggae record of all
and I
time.
think, and this is actually, I mean, I like the fact that they opened up this pressing plant in Jamaica. I think this opens up the Marley albums to a lot of new people to realize this guy knew his stuff. I mean, he was definitely ahead of his time in terms of thing. And I think this will really open it up to the younger generation. I'm really hoping it does. Someone grabs a copy of Exodus or grabs a copy of Catch a Fire. I mean, that's some damn good. That's some grooving stuff. And they're going to be.
And you got to give a shout out. You got to give a shout out to Chris Blackwell, who started Island Records, who lived in Jamaica and signed these band, brought them to the UK and recorded them really well, and and really pushed them. I mean, it just amazing stuff.
So Island Records also signed U2, right? At the very beginning when they first came out.
I think Chris Blackwell doesn't get as much praise, and is recognized as a great record label executive and A&R guy as much as you have your Clive Davis and Ahmet Erdogan and all those others. But
and Richard Branson, they're not in your face like those guys. He's kind of anonymous. Yeah.
The curious thing about Chris Blackwell, since you mentioned him, is when he sold Island Records, I believe I don't know who it changed hands to, maybe Polygram and then Universal. He had them stipulate in the purchase of the label's assets to never put the Nick Drake albums out of print. Even though I'm not sure if he signed him because I think it was on another sub label, but he was really he is. I believe he's still alive, right?
Do you know? Yeah, he is alive. Do you know? And his autobiography. Do you know if that agreement was sold after the Volkswagen ad with Nick Drake?
No, I think it was before. It was before that.
Okay, good for him. Good for him.
And he signed U2 as well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of big
stuff. He does definitely underrated in terms. I guess underpublicized, maybe more or less. He's just not out in the open.
That most of the other old school record label executives get.
Yeah. So we'll see how this goes. In the coming weeks, we'll see. I think, what is it? February 23rd is the shipping date for Exodus, or the 24th, one of the two, one of those dates. So that will be coming up very quickly. I'm sure we'll get some review, even though I won't reviewing it because I'll give it a 10 out of 10 even without listening to it. How's that? That's how bold of a prediction I'm doing.
Come on, you got to listen. You can't give it a 10.
Of course, I'm not.
Don't be one of those people that buys it and it sticks as like in a corner seal.
Yeah. No.
I don't
be one of those record buyers. Please.
It gave me, when Rastaman came out, I rediscovered that record.
Yeah.
I don't know. I doubt I'll rediscover Exodus because I know it by heart. But sometimes there is, an added value to buy at the latest reissue that maybe an album that you kind of like didn't really pay too much attention to when it came out, or you just have it in your collection and you don't listen to it very often.
And that will, I mean, Rastaman Vibration, that was a definitely incredible sounding album. I was thoroughly impressed. It's the one that I probably only listened to once in my life prior to.
Well, the two records that got me into reggae in 73, 74, I guess, were A Harder They Come, which is Mango, which is a division of Island, obviously. Jimmy Cliff and all these other. And there's a collection on Trojan Records, the Jamaican label, called From Bam Bam to Cherry O Baby, and it's got Toots and the Maytals, and it's a collection of about 4 artists, multi-songs. We would play that in the store, and it was an import, and every time we'd play, we'd sell it. I don't think it ever came out domestically, but it's so good reggae stuff. So,
oh wow. So I want to move on.
Okay.
We had some sad news to report. At age 94, Mr. Burt Bacharach passed away from, I guess it was reported, natural causes at 94. So we want to just pay tribute to Mr. Burt Bacharach today. We've seen Norman holding up. What is that? Which one is that? I can't see. Oh, there you go.
This is a Rhino 3-disc CD set, and it has hits from the Drifters, Marty Robbins, the Shirelles, Gene Pitney, Diana Warwick, Dusty Springfield, Tom Jones, Burt Bacharach, Trini Lopez, Jackie DeShannon, Ricky Nelson, Herb Alpert, all the great hits, the Hollies, the Carpenters, all these great songs, couple songs from this collaboration that he did with Burt Bacharach and Elvis Costello. Mobile Fidelity, digital DSD cut record.
Super vinyl.
Oh, this is, I forgot. I don't know if that's necessary, but it is. It sounds great.
And that's limited too, right? That's 1,000 or 2,000, 3,000 limited, I think, on that one.
That one was a DSD as well?
Yeah.
2000. I think so. 2000. I think it's 2000. Yeah.
Okay.
I had the CD when it came out. I bought it right when it came out because I'm an all-in Elvis Costello.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I first heard it, I listened to it for a while. I was bored as hell with this record. It was just a middling record. And I wanted to get this, and I kind of heard how everyone great, and I just fell in love with the record. It was like the vinyl, whatever the provenance, made it a different record to me. It sounded better than the CD, and it's a gorgeous record. Yeah,
it'll be on the MOFI website, but I would bet it's DSD to the analog late to cutting board or whatever. So I think that's what it is. Doesn't matter. It sounds good.
Exactly. You like it, Tim?
I love this record. It's a little bit of a personal story. I was living in Switzerland when I had the CD. I was in a car accident and I was out of work. I was actually still working, but couldn't do anything in the evenings. I had a broken leg. And I remember I was listening to this nonstop and REM's Up album, both around the same time, January 1999. And I fell in love with this thing. And when I saw it was coming up on MOFI, I jumped on it and was able to do the transaction. But I think I've got number 1832. But it's a grower. The more you listen to it, the more you love it. Great album.
1832 you have?
I have 1832.
I have 1816. So we're close.
They were like cousins on the assembly line there. That's nice.
Yeah.
I have an interesting memory about that album. At the time, they did a few in-stores together, and I was able to see them when they performed at the Virgin Megastore in Union Square.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I remember that.
Wow. Yeah. Downstairs?
Downstairs, exactly. Yeah, they were downstairs.
Wow.
So, Tim, I know I call you the Steely Dan expert, so you have some great videos about Steely Dan, and we got some Steely Dan UHQR. I want to go back to that. I just remembered now. They've released 2 of them AP. So they've released, obviously, which one did they release? So it's been Can't Buy a Thrill and then Countdown to XC. Yeah, so they were, 20,000 were going to be printed or pressed, and we're only halfway there. What do you guys think? How long do you think it will take to get through that catalog and sold out? That's going to take a while. I know, Norman, I know you mentioned something interesting about that. I think it was just a timing thing, right, with everything that was going on when Chad probably signed this deal.
My guess is with a combination with the MOFI thing, with this softening, I guess you could say, the economy, and everyone's real cautious about things, even though people are working and half a million more people are working. Yeah. People are cautious because the press keeps telling us that the sky is falling, and that's the whole political interest rates and all that going up. So people's mortgages are more expensive and stuff. So people are nervous, are a little skeptical. So to spend $100, $150 on a record, It's not the great timing, and it was nobody's fault, just the way it is. Plus, people are going back to work. They're not stuck like a year and a half pandemic times. It's just different. So, but remember, all these MOFIs, all these things didn't sell out right away for the most part before that.
And I mean, right after, I guess after Countdown, we're gonna get Pretzel Logic, so that'll come out, I would assume, in the next. What do you think, Arnaldo? April, possibly.
I think he mentioned it, Chad, in the video.
Did he? Okay.
How many he sold already? I think I would say of the first one, I think he's at 18,000. And the second one, maybe 10 or 11.
I thought they were both about half. I didn't realize the first one.
I saw one was 9 and one was 10. I thought.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. But the videos there probably give us an accurate count. I think he mentioned that he was going to get out Pretzel Logic as soon as possible, possibly next month.
And so then it's every 80 to 90 days, I was told by Chad last time I talked to him about that. So that would bring Asia down to what we have Pretzel Logic next. And then after that, it would be Katie Lied.
Right.
And
then I think Asia is going to be 35,000, I think, for Asia.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah.
Right.
So,
I mean, maybe 20,000 is too many. I mean, I'm sure he'd love to sell that many, but I don't know. I mean, maybe 12 or 15,000 is a sweet spot for the other Steely Dan albums.
And you got to remember.
Did you order?
I've only ordered one. I showed it in our last video. I've got Countdown to Ecstasy.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I held off on the first one. I'm gonna get Gaucho for sure.
Gaucho, yeah.
Haven't got a trigger on anything else yet.
I got the first two, and I pre-ordered the last two. And I might get Pretzel Logic because it's probably my third favorite Steely Dan album.
It's a good one.
Yeah, and
I only ordered
favorite song on it. Ricky, don't lose that.
I only pre-ordered. I only pre-ordered Asia, as I said, because that's the first record when I got a job at ABC. It's the first record I promoted, so it's sort of sentimental. I do have the best copy. You know, Tim knows it. Whatever the numbers are, I don't remember. I have that copy. I don't need Asia. I don't need it, but I'm curious, and it's not even my favorite Steely Dan record, but I'm curious.
So I was in Denver yesterday. I went to Twist and Shout Records. It's kind of on the par with the Amoeba in San Francisco and LA. It's a huge store, and this is Steely Dan related, by the way. But managed to pick up Donald Fagen's Sunken Condos.
I have
2012. I'm only missing Kama Kyriad now as far as everything on vinyl for Fagen. But the other news is I'm part of this Facebook Steely Dan group, and there's some guy who has the ear of Fagen, or he's a friend. And the rumor is he's in the studio right now, so he's working on his next solo album, which is exciting.
Well, how may I ask how much that Sunken Condos was?
I managed to get this for an even $100, and that, they're go on Discogs. They're crazy.
Kama Kyriad is going for like almost $200.
It's crazy. Wow. Biggest mistake. I didn't buy that cheap Christmas box put out a few years ago.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yep.
Is that two LPs?
Yeah, this is actually really nice. It's a 3-sided. Speaking of it's clear, but I don't think it's
nice.
Clarity, but really nice, and looking forward to it. I just got back before we got on, so I'm going to listen to that. But that's been on my hit list for a while.
So you're saying that Fagen's in the studio? Maybe that's the next UHQR, a Donald Fagen solo album. Hey, we can start a rumor.
Sure,
that'd be kind of cool. Limited to 2,000 copies. And then Tough Gong is going to do the rest of the Jamaican plant. There's a rumor to start.
There we go. The Tough Gong, those are coming in March. Is that right?
Yeah, end of March 23rd, 24th, something like that.
I'll definitely dip my toe in and try a couple of those.
Did anyone do the half-speed masters that came out, a year or two ago?
I have the Exodus. I haven't listened to it lately, so I couldn't tell you. I think you have a copy of Miles Scholl's Exodus, don't you, Norman?
I do not.
Yeah, I do. And I haven't played it. I will play it when I play my AP one that's coming. So I play this one. This is my original 84. I got this when I was just a young guy.
I have the CDs.
The Spars code is AAD. So, I mean, it's from the Masters, and it's kind of cool. what the old combat disc, it says this music on this CD was originally recorded on analog equipment, like that was like a bad thing or something. We've attempted to preserve as closely as possible the sound of the original recording because of its high resolution. However, the compact disc can reveal information of the source tape. Oh my God, can you imagine a little pop or a skip? Anyways,
I know this is the audience is like anti-CD here, maybe, I don't know, but I love these, so anyway.
Yeah, but I'm not. I love vinyl
CD
too. But I mean, I still have lots of CDs because I grew up with CDs as well. My age, So
yeah,
we got vinyl and CDs.
31 years ago. This came out 31 years ago.
Well, this is 80. This is 84. This came out as CD. This is the original one. Sounds great. I don't know, but we'll see. So Steely Dan. It's going to be a while before they sell out. I mean, I think Asia. You say it was 25,000 or 35,000?
I remember it being 35.
I always forget. I'll make a mistake and say the wrong thing. But yeah, so we'll see. I mean, you can still buy it right now. I pre-ordered.
It's going to be a long time before the double 45 normal black vinyl comes out. Put it that way.
I pre-ordered my Asian. It says back ordered, just so everyone knows. So I think I'm all right. Right. Yeah. So I guess once they've released all that, they come out with the black vinyl. So that won't be until 2024, I'd assume, to see all that. So it's going to be a while.
It's going to be a long time. Yeah.
It'll probably be when I'm as old as Burt Bacharach was yesterday.
Yeah. So at that point, everyone will be tired of listening to Steely Dan. So it'll be like, okay.
If the other two that Acoustic Sounds, Analogue Productions released, the last two Steely Dan albums on just regular.
You own those because you text them and you absolutely love them. I know that. They sound great.
They sound great.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's any indication, I mean, they sound great. The clarity vinyl, it's an extra, but Chad knows how to press records, so even the black vinyl,
and that's my point. We're all excited about this clarity vinyl, but if Ryan Smith cut, the Exodus to just normal vinyl that Chad is pressing, I think people would love it. I think it'd sound great. I think he would sell a lot more than 3,500, and it would be cheaper.
But the answer that they give, but I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the licensing and negotiations. You have to do X plus X plus X.
We're not in the boardroom. We have no idea how that works. So
no, and so I give him credit, and I'll defend him in that respect. But all those extra things, I still don't. This is a personal thing. I'm not one that believes that adds the clarity and the exterior box makes it premium for me. To me, the Music Matters Jazz were premium records. Tone Poets are premium records. I don't need, the special thing. I want a great press, nicely packaged. I mean, what's great about the Prestige, I like those matte finishes. They're not, are they glossy? I can't remember now. They don't need to be glossy even, right? Rhino was doing some beautiful, a couple of years ago, and they did Beau Brummels, and they did, I forgot a few things. They were doing those beautiful covers, tipped on jackets that were $25, all analog. I love those.
So like I said, if they came out with Exodus just on black vinyl through RTI or QRC, I'd be happy with that. I would buy that for $30 or $40. I think it's a price point. I think it still would be AAA audiophile press, and I think it would be fantastic.
Right. Yeah. The thing is that we got to remember, it's all about the licensing, because the packaging. Because I'll just briefly show. This is a record that I got turned on to Michael Poetry on Plastic and Vacant World Jacks. This was a 1968 psychedelic garage band that was huge in Japan. They only pressed 1,000 of these, RTI, the tipped-on jackets from you-know-who, and this was cut by Kevin Gray. And this came out 1,000 copies, and it's like $40. And you have to be into the garage band psychedelia. There is a gray market version. 2002, this came out, Universal Japan. And it's like, of course, the licensing to this is nowhere near a Steely Dan or a Bob Marley. So I get that, but still, if this is 40, let's add another 25 and make it 65, or 60 or whatever. That would be fine for me for like a Led Zeppelin record or a Pink Floyd record or something like that.
And
I mean,
that
this
leads
is beautiful.
And that leads me, I mean, that's another thing. Everyone's, hyped up about what the next UHQR is. And they think it might be Led Zeppelin just because Chad bought Classic Records. They possibly, and I've asked Chad this before, own the metal to the stampers or whatever. Are they going to, you do a UHQR of Led Zeppelin? I don't know. I think Jimmy Page, controls the mastering and the tapes there. So I doubt it. And we would have seen, and then another one was, maybe Pink Floyd. We would have seen Pink Floyd already. And we saw what, we found today that Roger Waters secretly recorded Dark Side of the Moon again. And then he's giving press conferences, and then, he's pro Putin in these press conferences. And then you got, Gilmore's wife and Gilmore going on Twitter, basically calling him a misogynistic, Putin lover or something. I mean, it's ugly right now between those guys. So there's no chance at all.
Family life.
Yeah, and then he's like, he was even Waters is making comments, something along the lines, well, Gilmore was part of the band. I mean, he played the guitar and he's saying, I was the one that created Dark Side of the Moon. It was my creativity. The guy, I don't know what's going on right now, but it's ugly between those guys. And I don't think
crazy, but it never turns out great when these guys go back and re-record things 30 years later.
Their voices aren't there.
Jeff Lynne did all these ELO records and he called it Jeff Lynne's ELO, and I don't know why he did it, but I mean the timbre in his voice is different. It's not 1973,
I don't think Pink Floyd. Sorry, Steve.
Go ahead.
I think Pink Floyd is well out of his reach. I mean, their catalog's up for sale for $600 million. I doubt there'll be any chance that he can snag a license if the catalog's up for sale to another bidder, which there's rumors and I can't confirm it, but it's pretty much sold to another bidder. So I think it's pretty hard to expect a Pink Floyd from Analogue Productions, because whoever's buying
$600 million seems like a bargain right now compared to what people are getting.
Well, yeah.
Justin Bieber got 200 million.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could see a billion,
Right.
I think Michael Jackson, I was reading that too. Michael Jackson there, I guess the estate's looking at selling his side of is it the Sony music catalog he owns? Is that the one?
I think actually they did sell it.
They did. Okay.
It's possibly the publishing side. I think Sony got Michael Jackson's portion of the Sony ATV. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking to sell my 1,000 videos on my YouTube channel too. So if maybe you can give a good word at BMG or Universal, I will negotiate.
We're gonna license Norman. We're gonna license Norman. That's what we're gonna do.
You can have all my content for 100 million. You got it.
100 million. Okay. I think Arnaldo,
I'll settle for 23 million.
Well, a lot of these hedge funds are buying these catalogs, right? They're entertainment hedge funds. I think that's where the money's from. So big private hedge funds have the cash. I mean, that's the only people that have the cash, and they go and license this and market it and sell it to commercials and sell merchandise like the Marley estate does. I mean, Marley's all over coffee. They're all over soundtracks. They're all over hardware. They sell everything. So I can't imagine Pink Floyd not doing the same. It makes a lot of sense.
The one thing I will defend about that, whatever you say about it, selling out Springsteen, whatever. To me, if it was me, it depends on how you trust your heirs. Because once you're gone, your heirs are going to do something, and whoever owns it. So you have the control to sell it, and then your heirs get the benefit, I guess, if you get along with your family, whatever. But you can control it. You and your team can control it, and so they're going to go away eventually. So
a lot of these asset purchases come, especially for these big artists like Dylan, Bowie, Springsteen. They have clauses on what use can be made of their master, and a lot of times those can be very strict and can prevent future revenue streams, depending on the artist's ideology, what they won't allow there.
It's all negotiable. Yeah,
it becomes negotiable, and that determines the price. And because it's all calculated based on revenue stream.
Got it.
Interesting. Well, So I don't think Zeppelin, I don't think the Beatles, I don't think Floyd will ever hit the UHQR, MOFI, AP market ever. I did a little live stream a few nights ago, and I was just put it out there. I think what we might see, and this will be through Apple, is a AAA stereo remastering of the Beatles catalog. But that's what's lacking right now. It's strictly from not the remix, but just because we really don't have that. And so a AAA Beatles stereo box would be nice, just to sort of complement the mono box. Any thoughts on that? Am I completely am I out to lunch with that one? I don't know. It's a dream.
Out of print?
What's that?
The stereo box that came out in 2014, is it out of print?
It's crappy. It was not done very well. It was not mastered very well, and there's a lot of
but what I mean is, no, I have it, but is it out of print?
It is out of print. It is out of print. Yeah,
because that would them redoing it.
It's so easy now to go between $500 and $1,000. That's not cheap, I know, but you can get BC13, the blue box, and I've seen it as low as $300 or $400. And it's gone up to, people are asking $1,200, but those are all from around 79 to 84-ish, 83. They're all analog. They didn't press them for the box. They basically, what was ever on the shelf. And some of them are very good. Some of them,
you're right. Let me stop you there. That the B13 box, Better Records, a lot of their hot stampers for the Beatles come from those stampers actually. Because I actually have a Help album.
If you want a
84.
stereo set, go buy that now, because it's inching up, but it is still relatively. I mean,
it sounds good because the tapes weren't worn back in the 79, 84. So it's
40 years ago. It's 40 years ago.
There you go. So I'm
almost, and like Norman said, if you pull out the albums, some sides of the albums have the Harry Moss signature inside. So some sides they recut, some they're using the original stamper that Harry Moss had, like that lacquer. So I mean, I bought it back in 1987, and I've been cherishing it since, and I love it. I think they're
basically you go to their distribution center, and someone was pulling all the shelves of each label and putting them in a box. Now the first version that came out was limited to, I think, 2,000 copies, and they were numbered. But they're really no different than all of a sudden they made more that were unnumbered. And there's a British version, and then there was a mono version, a black one and a red box,
right? Yeah.
Not vinyl colored. Of course, the one I don't have, the really key one, is the red vinyl Japanese mono box. I never got that, but we're going now in a whole different category.
So am I out to lunch to say that maybe the AAA stereo box, non-remixed by Giles Martin, maybe cut by Sean McGee straight from the tapes? Would there be a market for it for $1,000, $1,500?
Oh, there'd be a market for it, definitely.
So why wouldn't they do that? I mean, this is a business.
Why does Apple do anything?
I don't know, to make money. So why would, if you're running the Apple Core, I mean, that's looking at the market, they can sell 20,000 of those at $1,500 a pop.
Oh, they could sell 100,000 if they wanted to.
So think about that. That would make a lot of sense to me. They have the remix Giles stuff, but people who are more, just want to go back to the originality would want just a AAA stereo box, because we don't have that other than what Arnaldo had. I have the CD version of the 2014. I don't know where that is.
Their Apple thing. I mean, that is a pure audiophile market product. It's not your mass, hey, let's modernize the Beatles for the young people who are just discovering them and the different mixes and this,
which they've done, yes.
But that you're talking about a pure audiophile product.
I'm talking pure.
Probably a limited market for it, but
like Norman was saying, 20,000. I think 20,000 would be a home run. They would be able to sell that.
But if they're doing 40,000 Steely Dan's, that's one record. Yeah, I forgot.
But like 20,000 box sets or 25,000 box sets, man, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do advise, go listen right now. If you ever listen to Rick Rubin's podcast, the newest one, there's a two-parter with the first one with Giles Martin, and it's good. The second one drops next week, the second part, and it's good. He talks about the remixes and everything. It's just very interesting.
I'll definitely check that out. That'd be amazing. So we're coming close to the end here. I want to wrap this up. Any records you guys are listening to you want to show the viewers before we go? I'm curious to know what you guys have. Some interesting stuff. And I did pick up that Wilco album last week too, Norman. So thank you for that. Go ahead, Tim.
I'm a big Robin Hitchcock fan. This is his latest album. It's called Shuffle Mania. It's a real nice package. It's a gatefold. I actually saw it at the shop in Denver. Other than that, I had to buy it from his website, but it's a full band record. He puts out an album every 2 or 3 or 4 years, and this is a really strong group of songs. He's doing a little tour. He's going to be touring in the U.S. and with a small band. You know, since COVID, he's been out there just himself and an acoustic guitar, and I think his girlfriend singing backup vocals. So it's always fun to see him in a full band setting. And I know he's doing a West Coast swing in the spring. He's going to be in Colorado in June, but this is a strong album. Check it out if you like Robin Hitchcock.
Oh, thank you. What about you, Arnaldo? What'd you bring for us?
Well, you asked me to just pick out a couple of my favorite, audiophile pressings.
Yeah, sure.
So I picked this one out, the Analogue Productions Saxophone Colossus. And the reason why I picked this out, I mean, I'm just dipping my toes into jazz. First of all, because I was told it's a staple, and I didn't own it. So I was like, all right, this is a great opportunity, recently repressed. But when I put it on, I totally forgot, like I was listening to it, and I totally forgot that it was mono. The soundstage on this is amazing. Like, the depth of the mono recording really struck me. Like, I did, like, wait a minute, this is mono, but it sounds so good. So that's why, this is one of the things that I picked, not because it's, my favorite audiophile pressing that I have, but, in terms of musically speaking, but I think it's, really well done. You guys have this?
I don't have that one.
I don't have that pressing.
It's so good. It's so good. It's a great record.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the other ones to drop, like all the Miles, the Relaxin and all that, because if they're as good as this one, it could be also the recording. Obviously a lot of it has to do with how it was mic'd and how it was recorded initially, but I was blown away by the soundstage of this mono pressing.
I think I bought about 15 of this Prestige series for $40. They're so great. A couple of the Miles, a couple of Sonny Rollins. They're so good.
And I knew what we forgot, Norman, and we talked about this before we jumped on. Kirsten Edkins. I interviewed Kirsten last week. Wonderful jazz album, All Valve, by Kevin Gray. I really enjoyed that album. There it is. Can you tell me your thoughts? I didn't get lost in the music, and I know that was a big concern when I talked to her on my channel. I had an interview. She was really concerned about that, and I liked the originality of it. I really did. I really enjoyed it.
The bottom line is I really enjoy it. I was a little nervous because the last time that, like, audiophiles, excuse the expression, audiophiles, you guys watching out there, told me to get a jazz album that sounds so good. And this is just my opinion, one man's opinion. They told me to get the Impex 3 Blind Mice Blow Up. And I got it after 6 months or whatever. And it sounded so friggin' good. And to me, the music bored the hell out of me. Not this, so I don't want to confuse people. That 3 Blind Mice reminded me of a jazz band that plays in the Hilton Lounge at the airport SeaTac Hotel.
Ooh.
I just didn't like it. And I was nervous because, we all bought this originally because of Kevin Gray. We didn't know Kirsten, and no offense to her. We just don't know. At least I didn't know her. I put this on and I was pleasantly surprised. And there's a couple, like my friend, Mike Jazz Bum, wasn't as enthralled as I was.
Oh, really?
But I enjoyed it. And side 2 is even better than side 1. But I really thought it was, now it's not this intense jazz thing, but this is also a good entry point for jazz. But I think this is a good start, and I'm not taking anything away. It's not anywhere near that Sonny Rollins record, and no offense to her. I kind of joked last time. I think I called it kind of purple here, because of the jazz coloring. But of course, it's got all the providence of a tone poet and everything, and I just think it's good. I mean, it's if I was on Analog Productions Planet or one of those kind of things, I give it a 10 for sound. I give it maybe a 7.5 for music. That's what I thought. Maybe 8, And I have hard standards.
And it's a great deal. It's what, $39.95. Lovely
$40.
entry,
Come on,
$40.
$40.
Lovely entry point. The first 1,250 have been sold. The second pressing is out there, another 1,250 if you want to pre-order. And of course, if that sells, they'll do another 1,250. So yeah, I mean, it's a great album for the price. And
10 records. I'm only 5 through. This is the Dylan Fragments 10 LPs. Only 5 through.
Tim has that too. Yeah. Tim, you told me to have that.
Is incredible. Yeah. No, I haven't heard the.
I'd like to do a video on it, but it takes time. You've got to.
Norm will have the video up by tonight. Probably he'll get the rest of them done.
No, I've had this for a week, and I'm going to wait a few weeks. I'm not going to be one of those that I got. And I've heard the live tracks aren't great, but I haven't got there yet.
Mazzy, there's another. It's called the Dylan FM podcast, and they interviewed the guy who did the new mix and a couple other people involved. It's really interesting stuff.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, guys, we're going to wrap it there. It's been wonderful again. So, Movement of JAH FOMO. That's the title today. Lots of FOMO today. I'm sure we'll get a lot of good comments. Guys, leave your comments, viewers, about today's episode. Gentlemen, thank you. Arnaldo, where do we find you on YouTube?
Fidelios Frequency.
And Tim, where do we find you?
University of Vinyl.
And Norman, do we want to find you?
Norman Maslov.
There you go, gentlemen.
Maslov.com is my website, but it's nothing to do with this. It's photography.
It has been a pleasure as always. We'll see you again.
Take care.